What has making ECCO taught you about yourself and filmmaking? But yourself first, then filmmaking.
I think it was the longest project I've ever done in my life. So, I mean, definitely. I don't look at schooling as a project because it changes every quarter, so to speak. It was this competition that came out in me with myself. And it was shattering a lot of naivete about how hard this would be. So you have to have some very challenging internal conversations with yourself when you get disheartened or when you feel alone in a process. Even if you have a great support network, it's very easy to just shut off. There are rises and falls of depression that were uncontrollable because you just get so exhausted with the process. It taught me how to stop also inside of my myopic, obsessive nature to finish or to get a moment perfect. It taught me to stop, to enough is enough for a day. Like if we're cutting, we've been cutting for like 12 hours or something. It's like, stop, take a break. And I didn't know that about myself, you know. Taught me a lot about health and taking care of yourself before the shoot, during, and afterward. Because you can burn out before you start shooting. You can burn out in pre-production. And then you get into production and you're making the most important decisions about a performance or about coverage or about a particular moment that matters. And you don't have the battery power to keep going. And that didn't really happen to me, but I could feel it a couple of times where I was like, I am so tired. And I wasn't prepared for how tired my brain was going to be. And in the end of the day, I think it taught me that no one gives you anything when you get to the top of the mountain. Like no one gives you a trophy or like a reward or a bottle of champagne in the Formula One race or whatnot. You usually get to the top of that mountain in the dark, alone, and you have to figure out that is what you wanted all along. You know, I think at the beginning it can be really romantic that when you finish, you're gonna run through a ribbon in a marathon or something. But it's a lot closer to what I've read about some mountaineering expeditions or some summiting of some peaks where a climber got somewhere in the dark alone and no one was there. And you have to figure out what got you there. You know, a lot of people on the way giving you support, a lot of people on the way giving you nourishment, a lot of people on the way helping. You know, you didn't get there alone, but sometimes you do land there alone, you finish alone. And then I think I also learned that the affair is over. You know, I think that before you make a movie, there's an affair. There's like a romanticized idea of the work and of every part of the process. You know, people think editing is easy. It's the opposite. You know, people think that doing sound mix is easy. It's the opposite. People think they can kind of get away with doing a DI on like, you know, their computer. I don't agree with that. And so what happened also for me was learning that the love affair with the idea of making a film was dead. And for a little while, it wasn't replaced with anything. It was just over. And that didn't mean I wanted to stop doing this. It meant that there was an internal feeling of emptiness and truth. And at the end of that, there was a real strong light at the tunnel, and there was like maybe a mature, maybe a stronger sensibility of what this really takes to do. And so then when I looked at my next project, I looked at what needed to be fixed. I looked at how the script needed to be polished and reworked. I looked at the production schedule. I immediately pushed production off by a certain amount. I needed more time to do this right. And so I suddenly came at the sophomore film, the next film, I suddenly came at that film with a sense of realism, not optimism, and love and not lust, you know? And one of the things I also learned was that I have a very incredible wife, you know? And our relationship went from, you know, having lots of passion and having lots of lust and just being so in love with each other. And then when we got married, it became complicated and super interesting and better and richer, and the fabric of everything became stronger. And it's very synonymous with my metaphor about the affair of making a movie is over, and it becomes better and more interesting. I don't think you can rush that, because I went through a lot of pain to go from feeling the affair to being in love with this craft more than I ever have. But I had to go through all of the darkness first and not pretend like I had done it before. I think some filmmakers, including myself years ago, maybe had a sense of feeling like I could do it and it wouldn't be hard. And it's a different journey. So I learned how to tell myself the truth more. I don't remember the other question.
Wow, I don't know if it can top that. I'm just, what did making ECCO teach you about filmmaking?
Oh, yeah, sure. What did making ECCO teach me about filmmaking?
Yeah.
It was a opportunity to see strengths and weaknesses under a microscope, right? These are the things I thought I was good at. These are the things I think I needed to work on. And when you take the duration of your material, and when you take the audience's investment in the material, right? Okay, so they were going to be invested in a 30-second ad or 60-second ad or what have you, right? Okay, so how much of that day is it taking? How much are they invested in watching this content? Okay, so that's what that is. And then over here, it's like they're going to buy a ticket to your movie and give you 2 hours of their life in a place that's not in their house. And that is a completely different invitation. So it taught me a lot about the reality of, okay, this muscle, this strength is solid. This is good. I can keep improving that. And I'm going to challenge myself to do that on the next movie, and here's how. And then the opposite's true, which is I feel like this aspect of the story or the script needed work. And I never got the right amount of work. And fuck, it pisses me off, but it didn't. And it got finished and it's done. So it's like you can noodle with it forever and you never ever finish it. Or you finish it and you say, I got to really be honest with myself about that's got to get fixed next time. It taught me a lot about, as a director, it taught me a lot about people. It taught me a lot about expectations and morale. I was reminded just before, this saved my ass, by the way. I was reminded just before we started filming, like a week before, my dad says, "You're the captain of the ship." And I was like, of course, you know, like, thank you. And he goes, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it like, you are the captain of the ship. You are the captain of the ship. If things go right, you're the captain of the ship. If things go wrong, you're the captain of the ship. And after 4 or 5 days, it became super clear that I needed to adapt my leadership style to the team. Not because they needed me to or asked me to, but because I was paying attention to being the captain of the ship. And whether that was to make sure to every day in the morning say good morning to every person on the team, and at the end of the day, tell every person on the team, great day, which I did do. And I had already really been doing that, but it wasn't hyper diligent. It wasn't as focused around, you know what, they're working so hard every day and we're only 20% in or 15% in or whatever it was. And okay, great. So that I needed to be a better leader. And then it also taught me a lot about editorial. I learned that I'm used to assembling and cutting while I'm going on ads, and we didn't have that strategy on this film. And we are changing it on the next film. So, for example, we shoot material, I look at some dailies, but I don't make editorial decisions. The editor's not on set working. And then when we're done and we're in the can, I look at everything for a period of 4 weeks or whatever, and then we start assembling. I learned that process was super inefficient, and the result of that process was that, or the reason why it happened, was because we were working so fast and so hard every day, there wasn't time to review material in earnest. And so that's going to change on the next film. On the next film, we're going to cut concurrently with the production. I read a lot about how that's done. I talked to a bunch of editors in Hollywood about how they do it. I followed the process, really drilled in on the process the way they cut Munich, Spielberg's film. They cut it concurrently, and they were able to have a strong assembly of the cut within, I believe, a few weeks after production. And it also creates an efficiency in any pickups, and et cetera. So probably one of the biggest lessons I learned was about editorial. And the last thing I really, really learned about was my passion for meticulous cinematography and very specific color grade work in the DI is equal to my level of passion for sound design in the mix. You know, I had had a lot of experience in a DI for commercials, but the mix on commercials is really quick. They do it in a day, it's done, you're not even usually there. And on a film, the mix, along with the Foley and design and dialogue cleanup and looping and stuff, this takes months and months to do. And I fell in love with the sound design process. I fell in love with the final mix, making this weighted ratio decisions on the audience's experience from a sound perspective. And I've never had that experience before. So that was really exciting. So I'm sure my answer to this question could be like 2 hours long.